Welcome back to another video. You know what's about to go on. Some creepy TikToks and some dark conspiracies. If you're ready, let's get into it.
Whatever you do, don't listen to this story at night, especially if you live like in old houses or near trees. Because in Mexico, there's something called duendes, and they say
Duendes.
that once you hear about them, they'll immediately start noticing you. Duendes are small human-like creatures that live inside forests, inside your walls, rooftops, anywhere they can
They're on my
fit. These
walls.
little creatures are nowhere near cute. They learn your routines, they watch you, and sometimes they even try to kidnap children. They say that they especially love people that live alone, and they say that supposedly if you have your window open, they're so easy to crawl, and sometimes if you whistle, you may hear them whistling back. The creepiest part is that certain people notice strange things. For example, things in their house moving by themselves, weird noises coming from their walls. They think it's something else. However, it might be a duende. People in Mexico swear that duendes sometimes mimic a relative's voice. For example, most people have heard their own mothers calling them, but their mother is inside the house and not outside. However, if you follow the sound, many people discovered that there's nothing there. However, many people claim that they have. There's many creepy stories in Mexico that they've followed the sound, and they say that right where the sound led them is a weird little humanoid creature just smiling at them, or running away. The scariest part as well is that if a duende gets attached to you, it'll start following you everywhere, hiding everywhere, as long as it's near you and moving objects inside of your room. Sometimes they even claim to watch you while you sleep. So
What?
tonight, if you're asleep and you hear little footsteps running around your bed, be careful because it might be a duende.
That's insane. That's actually insane. That
If
is
an
crazy.
alien landed in your yard and gave you a pancake, would you eat it? Joe Simonton, a 54-year-old plumber from Wisconsin, would say yes. Back in 1961 in Eagle River, Wisconsin, Joe Simonton was doing dishes one Tuesday morning when he heard a very loud screech coming from his front yard. After going into his front yard, he would see a 30-foot long and 12-foot high metallic craft with a man wearing a very tight cap reaching out of it with some sort of jug. The thing or person in the craft was described as very small, under 5 feet tall, and tan skin. After some confusion, the creature kind of started making drinking signs at him, referencing towards the jug, and Simonton got the idea that he had to fill up this jug with water for this guy. He also mentioned that it was very difficult to look this creature in the eyes, because it felt like he was just looking into him deeply, and it made him very uncomfortable. After filling up this jug with some water, he handed it back to the creature, and he noticed there were two other very similar looking people in the ship, one of which was doing what looked like cooking, and the other was just sitting in the back. That was when, I suppose, in exchange for the water, Simonton was handed 4 pancakes. I say pancakes very vaguely because this is what they look
Wow,
like.
there's
I mean, that
pictures
looks
of
that
it.
looks awful. By the way, throughout this whole thing, not a word was being spoken. The alien was just making signs at him. And after being handed the pancakes, the alien just kind of did a little salute type motion. And just as quickly as the aliens got there, they shut the hatch and they rose up and left. Of course, Simonton did taste the pancakes, and he said it tasted like straight cardboard. It was just awful. There was no flavor. Oh, and what were these pancakes made of? Reportedly, it was just flour, sugar, and grease. So, understand. Do you buy the very peculiar story of Joe Simonton's alien encounter? Let me know down below. It is a very strange one, to say the least.
Let me get this straight. He is claiming a group of aliens and then a UFO came in and asked for water. In return, they gave him 4 pancakes, and bro ate it. You're crazy. You're absolutely crazy. You're absolutely insane. I don't know what to tell you. That's like
This is a real photo of a human foot and leg that washed ashore in Canada. Since August of 2007, at least 20 different human feet have washed ashore near Vancouver Island in Canada. As you can see here, here's a map of kind of what's happening. And literally, people will find entire feet, legs. They have no idea where these body parts are coming from. So the last foot actually washed ashore in December of 2025. This washed up in Washington. And obviously this case has been deemed to be incredibly unusual by experts. And that's because these feet are washing up by themselves. There are literally no traces of any other part of the bodies that these feet once belonged to. People think that a lot of different things could be happening here. This could be the work of a serial killer, as some have proclaimed. And some people say that this is a natural phenomenon, people drowning or dying in just kind of weird ways in the wilderness. However, it should be stated that there is something wrong with Vancouver Island, Canada. For several decades, people have been disappearing off the island at a rate more than twice the national average in Canada. Hikers, children, tourists, locals, it doesn't matter. There are all sorts of people disappearing from the island. And at the same time, in the areas nearby, we have all of these feet washing up whose owners are never found. It's definitely an incredibly eerie rabbit hole to look into. And the new film Hunting Matthew Nichols is inspired by these events. I am absolutely incredibly excited to see this film. It's an independent horror film. The film is in theaters April 10th, but you can join the hunt online now. They have an incredible immersive website for the film set up. And yeah, this is one of those films that I'm absolutely incredibly excited to see this year, especially seeing that it's based on a true crime case that has fascinated me for years. The trailers for the film are online now, and maybe I'll see one of you guys April 10th in the theater when I'm there with my wife to see the film.
Guys, look what I found! Look at these people! Look at these people! Doesn't that look like the astronauts? The astronauts? I mean, they look exactly like these people. The astronauts. Okay, let's go here again. The green thing. What is the green thing for? Like, I mean, what is the green thing? Does someone know what the green thing is? It looks, I mean, that microphone and that microphone looks exactly the same. But I might be wrong. And this position and these positions look exactly like this. Isn't it very, 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 very accurate? What do you think?
Whoever leaked those pictures, you're getting fired soon.
Betting in this country has
It's
spiraled
over.
out of control. So Polymarket, which is like Kalshi and a bunch of other futures betting markets, is destroying society, basically. You've definitely heard of it by now, but basically, in order to escape gambling laws in various states in the United States, there are companies that allow you to trade things that would happen in the news, right? So basically, you can bet whether something will or won't happen. Like, you can bet who's gonna win the Oscar. You can bet what the weather is gonna be tomorrow. Like, anything. That's bad enough. Your phone's already addictive, and just making it easier to bet is bad enough. But it also is starting to have dark ramifications on war and just violence in the world in general. Right now, the United States is in an illegal war in Iran, right? So just the war itself is a crime. But for some reason, in the United States, American citizens can bet on the actions of the military in this war. Like, for instance, you can bet when it's going to be over, or when certain military strategies are going to be used, like putting boots on the ground. And people with obvious insider information to what Trump is going to tweet out on a day-to-day basis are betting like tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of dollars on very specific bets that they know are going to go through, and making tons and tons of money off of it. Mind you, the United States has literally bombed an elementary school on the first day of this war, right? And American citizens are still getting paid off of it. But that's not even what this video is about. What this video is about is the fact that people are literally betting whether individual people will live in this war. A couple of days ago, a fighter jet was shot down over Iran, right? One of the pilots was immediately rescued, but the other one was missing. And for a long time, we didn't know if he was missing or potentially deceased or, captured by the Iranians. Like, there was really no way to know whatsoever. And people on Polymarket, the betting gambling app, basically cast bets based on whether this guy was going to be captured or be alive or whatever. And check it out. The guy ended up being fine. Like, we rescued him somehow. So good for that guy. But it's like, dang, yo. It's like, wow. Polymarket did apologize, but it's like they're really just apologizing because their PR is bad. It's like the whole premise of your website is that you can bet on bad things happening to people, yo. And maybe if you're crazy enough, you can even make those things happen yourself.
Have you guys noticed how many scientists have gone missing or died lately? All these incidents happen within about a year of each other. These are all separate incidents involving people in science, aerospace, defense, or nuclear-related environments, so it's just a coincidence. But let's just look at these. We'll start off with William Neal McCaffrey. Castle. He ran one of the Air Force's top science divisions. He was basically in charge of developing future military tech. He disappeared from his home without his phone, without his glasses, without his smartwatch. He had a wallet and gun missing, so maybe he took that. But you don't need no glasses to see. The sweatshirt was then found over a mile away, but nobody has seen or heard from him since. Then you got Monica Reza, and she worked on materials used in spacecraft and propulsion systems, basically the stuff that rockets are built from. She disappeared during a daytime hike as well. No trace found at all. No known health issues. Search just ended without any answers. Then you had Carl Grillmeyer. He was a Caltech astronomer. So he was shot and killed at his house, and nobody really knew what the motive was initially. A suspect was later arrested. They say that it's a regular homicide case. The same thing that happened to Nuno Loureiro. He worked on fusion energy. He was trying to create power like the sun. Was working on a huge future energy breakthrough. He was shot and killed at his house. They treated it like a normal homicide investigation. There was news that it might have been some former classmate or something like that. Melissa Cassius. She was a Los Alamos employee. Now, she was not a scientist or anything. She was an administrative worker at a U.S. nuclear research lab. So the people think that she might have known internal operations, people's schedules. She just vanished after being seen walking near a highway. Left behind her purse, left behind money, left behind her ID. Phones. Family says her phones were factory reset.
Factory reset.
When's the last time?
Never factory reset.
People don't just factory reset phones. All this stuff, they're unrelated incidents. They're not tied together. They're not connected. Just people just have noticed, like, what? This is a lot of knowledge that we just lost in it.
I didn't know the creepy guy that dressed in all black and then went up behind that man and proceeded to try to shove this man in front of an incoming train.
No
I didn't know
way.
this was like a stranger situation.
That's
This guy literally
insane.
comes up from like the other side of the train, sees this man alone, checks, and then sees the train coming, waits, and then tries to shove him. Thankfully, this man was strong enough to where he just didn't get pushed in front of the train. But they not only identified this man, he has been charged, and we now know his criminal history, and you're like, how the hell was he out of prison for him to be able to commit this crime? The suspect turned out to be Alicio Melendez, who had a history of not only mental illness, but violence against others. And we're talking all the way back to 2021. They described it as a clear history of problems with violence. They make a statement like this clear cut, you know it's bad. This being an incident that happened between him doing this to a stranger completely unprovoked. Then back in 2018, he punched a woman in church. Was she doing anything to him? No. Another completely unprovoked situation. This attack on her was so bad that she had to get multiple stitches. Then again in 2019,
There's more?
this man used a knife on his own sister. This is when things get alarming because he attacked her in the stomach. He then is supposed to stand trial, but he's found not competent to stand trial. And I'm like, I thought whenever you're found not competent to stand trial, you still get a trial. But no, apparently in his case, he was basically allowed to now be out and free. He was in a mental facility when this happened. Again, me thinking someone being in a mental institution means you can't leave that institution. Did he break out? No! This man assaults a stranger in 2018, assaults his own sister in 2019, and then does this to another complete stranger, to cause as much bodily harm as you can cause another person, not because he broke out of an institution or broke out of jail, having already been found to be mentally unstable and extremely violent, but because after multiple evaluations, he was determined not competent to stand trial. So I'm just wondering what has to happen for someone like this to be taken off of the streets. And I'm talking taken off the streets and not allowed back on the streets. And honestly, how many other people are there like this that they're just letting walk around, just scoping out their next victims?
That's absolutely insane. Why is
I
it
would never
not-
harm myself and I love life. Now that's been established, this document inside the Epstein files talks about 2 girls being buried on Zorro Ranch where they redacted it, but I found it unredacted and you're going to want to follow along. Take a look. This is the docket number.
Lock
You
in.
see
Pay
redactions,
attention.
but we'll just start real quick. This is sensitive, so it'll be the first and last email depending on your discretion. You can either choose to take it or trash it. But this comes from a person who has been there and seen it all and a former staff of the Zorro Ranch. The material below is taken from Jeffrey Epstein's home as my insurance in case of future lawsuits and litigation against Epstein. Sorry, no questions. What is damning about Jeffrey Epstein is yet to be written. Did you know? Oh wow, how convenient, it's redacted. And here are the video footages of Jeffrey Epstein with CSAM committing the crimes. Also, look, 19 minutes, underage girl. 13 minutes blank video with a minor. Okay. It gets worse. Because I found the same file unredacted. Would you look at that? Matthew Mellon. 7-minute video with an underage girl. Matthew Mellon. I guess why they unredacted this one is because he's already dead. How convenient. Right before Epstein died in a rehab center in Mexico.
How convenient.
This is the Matthew Mellon, by the way, who was with an underage girl. But it gets worse. 23-minute underage girl blank fantasy video. You read this correctly. Read that. And then blank attempt confession to Madam G audio. Here you can have it. These are all links that were sent. And the FBI saw this. They saw this. Look, subject to protective order paragraphs. Look, they've seen this. No arrests. And it gets worse. What is Madam G? Well, madams get called madams because they are the women who help specifically in trafficking. Madam G. But let's get back to that bodies part on Zorro. Did you hear this? Has yet to be written. Remember this was redacted? Did you know somewhere in the hills outside of Zorro, 2 foreign girls were buried on orders of Jeffrey and Madam G? Both died by strangulation during rough blank blank. And actually, Al Jazeera, I posted another video, you can take a look at it, found 2 plots on the hills of Zorro that were dug up. You didn't see that? Take a look. Al Jazeera got a tipster's correspondence and photos via public records request with the DOJ of New Mexico. And the person said, I know this is illegal that I snuck onto the property, but men like this don't deserve protections from the law. Here's photo 1 of supposed plot that was dug up on the hills of Zorro. And this one.
We're more likely to survive in Mexico right now with cartels battling it out in the streets than you are in your own country. Someone just explains to me how Americans are safer right now in Mexico than Americans who are in America. How? Because apparently in Mexico, even though they're having like buildings being set on fire and all like this tumultuous thing is happening, like these cartels are like battling and are mad, they're like leaders, and then also mad at the U.S. because the U.S. was involved in that. Even then, entire year, there's less than like 200 Americans that kick it in Mexico, and of those, they're saying it's like around 80 are actual homicides. Versus just in the last 2 months in the U.S., that number, it's almost like the same. Just in 2 months, I think we've had 79 of those. Like and then the Austin, Texas shooting that just happened, 19 people were shot at. So honestly, just in Austin, Texas, as of March 2026, like our numbers are far exceeding in a cartel fighting it out across the country of Mexico. And people are telling Americans not to go to Mexico when it's in fact apparently safer for Americans.
Look at this video of the Artemis II crew genuinely ziplining out of the rocket while it's blasting off. Now, why on earth would the Artemis II crew do this? My theory is that is just a giant helium balloon with no one in it, and it's just launching off and then going into the Atlantic Ocean, because we cannot go past the firmament. Outer space is not real. 1, 2, 3, 4. All 4 members of the Artemis crew ziplining away before the helium balloon blasts off and falls into the Atlantic Ocean. Now, what's really weird is, have you paid attention to the suits of the Artemis crew? It looks just like the suit of a certain organization. And if I mention this organization, this video might be banned, which is also kind of fishy. The symbols are everywhere, guys. I wonder what kind of symbol is on his ring. And what about Katy Perry? You know, when she went to space? Look at her patch. Looks kind of similar. Let's turn it upside down and see what it looks like upside down. Huh. It kind of looks like a goat. Or a ram. Or should I say, Baphomet. Now the symbolism is everywhere, guys. It's all over the place. All of these people are telling you the master that they serve. They are all telling us. But of course, just keep eating your Frosted Flakes, drinking the Kool-Aid. I made this video for entertainment purposes only.
Guys, the engine just fired. The crew has officially left Earth. They are headed to the moon right now, and the footage of Earth shrinking behind them is giving us chills. Last night at 7:49 p.m., the Orion spacecraft fired its main engine for 5 minutes and 50 seconds. NASA called it flawless.
The burn was executed by our flight operations team here in Houston, and it was flawless. The burn was the last major firing of this mission.
And whenever that engine stopped, for the first time since 1972, humans have officially left Earth's orbit and are headed towards the moon. On the live stream, you could literally watch Earth getting smaller through their window as they pulled away. Commander Wiseman said that you can see the entire globe from pole to pole, and that it paused all 4 of them in their tracks.
And I don't know what we all expected to see in that moment, but you could see the entire globe from pole to pole.
Jeremy Hansen said humanity has once again shown what we are capable of. That engine burn just sent them on a path that carries them over 4,700 miles past the far side of the moon. This is about to be farther than any human being has ever gone in our entire history as a species. And happening right now as you are watching this video, they are out there getting farther from us by the second. Make sure you go ahead and follow me right now, because I will be here every single day with updates until they're home.
All right, so I might sound very uneducated, and if I do, I'm very sorry. But there's one thing that's bothering me regarding this whole situation about going to the moon, whatever, or how we landed into the moon before. Why are we not capable of landing in the moon today when we apparently did it in the past? Why is our technology worse and more capable before than now? Because, like, why are we circling around it? Why are we not landing on the moon? Like, why are we...
Y'all, this photo is so creepy. So if y'all don't know about the Kanika Jenkins case, girl, do not watch this at nighttime, okay? This is Kanika Jenkins' mom. Now, allegedly, she was found unclothed, at least from the top down. Now, I've always had some weird feelings about Kanika Jenkins' mom. I'm going to keep those to myself for the time being. If you want me to get to that later, I will. Now, if you don't remember this, she was awarded like a huge sum of money by the Chicago, like, I don't know, city of Chicago or something like that, in regarding to the Kanika Jenkins case. And in 2000, I believe it was 2018 or maybe before that, 2015, Kanika Jenkins went to a hotel party with some friends, and she completely went missing for a while. Now, they looked at CCTV footage and saw her wandering the hotel. The footage was very choppy, broken. They ended up finding her inside of a freezer that was actually part of a, like, under construction extension of the hotel that was going to be like a restaurant, but it hadn't been completed yet. Now, the creepy thing was one of her shoes was off. She had cut. She had some type of rug in her system, like a sleeping rug in her system, and nobody came forward and said what happened. To this day, it's considered to be an accidental, but we know it wasn't. Boom, fast forward, Kanika Jenkins' mom. Everybody in the freaking city of Chicago is looking for her, including a guy by the name of Zach TV. Now, Zach TV was a influential, a social media personality that would, interview rappers in the Chicago area. And he was pew-pewed because he was investigating Kanika Jenkins' death, and he was told to stop talking about it. Now, the creepy thing about this is Kanika Jenkins' mom, this is not the first time she was spotted without clothes on. This is the second time or third time, something like that. But this time she was found in a very weird state. So you can see the photo. They had to hospitalize her. This lady, I really feel like, I feel like she's working with them. I don't know, like, it's something creepy about this whole case. Like, every time I talk about this case, I get chills. And I truly feel like Kanika Jenkins was murdered for her organs. Now, the reason why I say this is because she was found, and after this, I believe they wanted to take her organs out or something like that, or she was missing organs. This is still a very, like, blur thing, because, like I said, there was so much that they covered up because they wanted to hush up the family with money. This is a common thing they do with Black parents and families of, cases like this, where there might have been racial tension or racism involved regarding the victim, such as Kendrick Johnson. They gave the mother a settlement, and they don't want you talking about it. This is a situation where I really feel like we need to keep talking about it and keeping Kanika Jenkins' name alive, because if we don't, it's going to become another situation where this happens again.
Here's how you can tell the difference between lab-grown meat and real meat. Number one is they call it cell-cultivated or cell-cultured. Most of the examples I've seen, they're calling it just cultured meat. And just listen to the language that they use. Picture this, you're at your favorite steakhouse for a special occasion. Yes, you are environmentally conscious and know that red meat is one of the worst foods for the environment. But this is a celebration dinner, and you only eat red meat a few times a month. On the menu, you see cultivated filet mignon, produced without animals. Would you order it? No. This could be the standard for restaurant menus in the next few years. Upside Foods and Good Meat are two companies that have gained approval to be able to make cultivated meat. And they are already selling it at two restaurants. So Bar Kren and China Chocano are two restaurants that now use lab-grown meat. Also, Bill Gates is invested in Upside Foods, which makes me trust absolutely nothing that they do. Bill Gates said, I do think all rich countries should move to 100% synthetic beef. For me, in the middle income and above countries, I do think it's possible. There are all these bills that say it's got to be called basically lab garbage to be sold. They don't want us to use the beef label. Yeah, Bill, because it's not beef. He's also backed up a startup called BioMilk, which is developing lab-cultured breast milk. No, thank you. Also, a lot of the menus, as I said, are just calling it cultivated meat, which doesn't at all make it sound like it's grown in a lab. It just makes it sound like fancy meat to the average viewer. You want your meat to look like this? Or this?
That.
Why is Donald Trump and Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice protecting this person? This is an email in the Epstein files. It's from a redacted name to Epstein saying, thank you for a fun night. Your littlest girl was a little naughty. It makes me feel weird saying it. But why is this redacted? Why are they protecting this person? And it actually continues. In a separate email, Epstein said great. And both times where you can see that person's identity, it has been redacted. Now remember, Donald Trump's Department of Justice, his FBI, said there's no evidence that any other men were involved, that Epstein gave little girls to any other men. This seems like some evidence to me. They say there won't be further investigation, there won't be any more charges, but we have plenty of evidence from these files alone that other people did some pretty bad things, and not only are they not investigating those people, they're covering up for them. I'll put the number of the email on the screen right now if you want to go read it for yourself in the Epstein files, but disgusting. They are covering this stuff up.
New update on the Pusheisty case. He wanted to go back to jail. He told on himself. Man, them boys fried. I'm sorry to tell y'all. Pusheisty was wearing an ankle monitor when he robbed Gucci Man and those other people inside the music studio, bro. They went to posting the jewelry that they stole from the people in the music studio. They bit and choked out the white dude that was there. He gonna be the main one taking the stand. Pusheisty's dad was the one who got the rental for the guys to execute the plan. They got camera footage of them not only paying for the boys' Greyhounds, but also picking them up from their hotels. And they got Greyhound records of him sending off them dudes back to Memphis in Greyhounds. Yeah, I ain't gonna cap. Pusheisty's take the first plea deal they get game. Might be 10 or something. Take this to trial, boy, you going under jail. And anybody that says otherwise, cap. Y'all really play with y'all freedom, y'all finna be back to them boys. Because them white folk that y'all robbed at the studio is telling they're going to take that stand. There's no ifs and buts about it. They're taking that stand.
The U.S. is reportedly considering a mission to extract enriched uranium from Iran that's so complex it involves special forces and even building a temporary runway. According to reports, the operation wouldn't just be a quick raid like Venezuela. It would require airlifting large numbers of special forces, engineers, and equipment deep into Iran, using many aircraft in a coordinated insertion. Once on the ground, troops would need to secure the area and even build a temporary runway, which would in turn allow transport aircraft to carry and extract nearly 1,000 pounds of highly enriched uranium. This would essentially be establishing a forward operating base beside hostile territory.
What are we trying to do with uranium? Nukes?
You guys, Mega's latest conspiracy is that Jeffrey Epstein is Zohran Mamdani's father, and people are literally protesting outside of his house because they think it's true. So conservative influencers have been circulating these AI images of Zohran as a baby and his mom, with Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein saying that these just came out in the latest Epstein files drop. Obviously, this is completely computer-generated, it's not true, but millions of people are seeing them. Like, this post alone was viewed 22 million times, and now people are protesting outside of Zohran's house.
This is when AI gets so harmful and so dangerous, and it's important to spread the word that none of this is true. And also the hypocrisy of protesting Mamdani, who wasn't actually in the files, instead of Trump, the president, who is literally all over them. And like so many things, this started with a kernel of truth, because Mamdani's mom, who's a famous filmmaker, was mentioned once in the files. This email Epstein received from a publicist did just come out of the files. She said, just left the Lane's townhouse after party for film. Bill Clinton and Jeff Bezos were there. Jean Pagozzi, director Millionaire, etc. And Millionaire is Mamdani's mom. That is one of the only times she's mentioned in the files. And we know Boleyn was a socialite in New York who attended lots of premieres and events. So it's not surprising that she would host an after party for a film. Somehow that brief mention has spiraled into people thinking Epstein is Mamdani's dad. Things like this are a great reminder to be so critical when you get online and to really vet sources before trusting anything. We here at News Girls are still going through all of the files and making tons of videos about the revelations that we find, so follow, stay in
The federal government just confirmed that they are about to start diluting your gasoline this May. So basically, the EPA just announced that starting on May the 1st, gas stations across the country can sell E15 fuel nationwide. If you're somebody that doesn't know what E15 fuel is, it's gasoline that's cut with 15% ethanol instead of just the usual 10. And you literally cannot make this up right now because they are calling it fortifying the domestic fuel supply, which is a really weird way to say that you're just going to be adding more corn juice to people's gas.
The EPA has issued emergency waivers for gasoline blends like E15.
Now this is why it actually matters to you, because ethanol has less energy than regular gasoline, so your car gets worse fuel economy on E15.
Yeah.
The entire point of this is that you might be saving about 25 cents per gallon at the pump, but you're burning through it faster, so obviously the savings just cancels itself out. But this is the part that genuinely nobody's talking about, because the EPA normally bans E15 during the summer because ethanol evaporates faster in heat and creates more smog. They explicitly know this, but they just decided to waive their own rule that they made anyways because gas prices are high right now and people are angry. And if you're somebody that owns an older car, a lawnmower, a boat, or a chainsaw, they're saying to be careful because E15 can mess up those engines. So they're making your gas cheaper by just making it worse. Is that even surprising at this point?
A chocolate company in California had to recall a bunch of their products after there was too much Viagra that was in their candy. They were probably wondering how boner pills somehow got slipped into chocolate. Well, this isn't your average kind of chocolate. It's designed to be eaten for special activities, if you know what I'm saying. And usually these chocolates have supplements in them that make those activities a lot more enjoyable. But somehow there was too much Viagra slipped into this chocolate that can make it very, very dangerous. So in other words, you could literally die from eating chocolate that has too much boner pill stuff in it. So if your friends ever plan on getting this chocolate, you may want to wait just a little bit.
That's insane. That's crazy.
The judge presiding over Netanyahu's court case has been found dead. This is Benny Sagi, the judge that was going to put Netanyahu behind bars for the rest of his life due to obvious corruption charges. The judge was riding his motorcycle on the highway whenever a vehicle from an off-road area turned, hitting him, killing him instantly. For over 2 years now, Netanyahu has delayed his court cases through wars, through bombings, through strikes. And now the judge has been found dead, which is going to put the case off maybe over a year now, buying Netanyahu time to do whatever he wants.
Corrupt world we live in.